issues here, but no issues, no more. Hello, Facebook world. I'm on here with Nick Norden of Norden Law. He is a personal injury attorney. Am I correct?
That is correct, and thanks for having me.
Yeah. How are things going, man?
Things are going well. Obviously, the virus is slowing down things involved with litigation in court, but we're able to push through with video conferencing and things like that.
Yeah, and that was some questions I was going to ask you. My sister works for attorneys out in Melbourne, and then my dad is an attorney, but not a personal injury, another attorney. So I was messaging them this morning, like, hey, how do I? What should I ask? What are things going on right now in that type of world? So they were texting me some good stuff because they're kind of in that same world too, and seeing some of the issues. I know. First of all, before we get into that, and I apologize, I'm kind of distraught. My first interview didn't go live, and then I had to get off, and then I got this system up now, which looks like it's a nicer system. So I guess Zoom allows you more quantity of people. This allows up to 4, but like I was able to put a logo up there. So I guess if I would have known earlier, I could have put your logo too, and then or how to do this, and then it's actually scrolling right now saying that I'm with you, Nick Norden of Norden Law. So, hey, after 2.5 weeks, I'm becoming pretty all right at this. So, first of all, let's talk about Norden Law. Let's tell a little bit about yourself. I did see that you have not just, it's hard enough to pass 1 bar. It looks like you've passed 4. So talk a little bit about your background, your career, and what you specialize in, and then we can go into some questions and answers.
Okay, I'll be brief. I graduated from law school at the University of Florida back in 2006 and took the Florida bar. Did insurance defense work for 5 years approximately, helping insurance companies. Did a lot of tractor trailer type cases. Was counsel for one of the largest tractor trailer companies in the world, doing their defense work, and then kind of got tired of helping them and decided I wanted to help the people that didn't have the deep pockets. And so I started doing personal injury about 8 years ago, and went to work for a firm that had offices around the country. They had me take the New Mexico bar and the Colorado bar, and luckily I was able to waive into Arizona. So I didn't have to take another bar there, but I oversaw the Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Denver, Colorado office before, I guess, about 5 months ago, deciding, I want to do my own thing and start my own firm. So I started Norden Law in December, and here we are.
Well, awesome. Well, I know that you came very highly referred to me from an attorney group that are near and dear to my heart over there with Kendrick Law and Jessica Kendrick. And man, I love those ladies. They're just rock stars. Their title company, their employees, who they hire, just the whole entire culture there is tremendous. So if she believes in you, everybody else should believe in you too, because she's a good judge of character. So some things that I know are going on right now. Obviously, we have issues in the world. And one of the issues that I see here that my sister tells me that they are seeing over kind of where they're at is, so it says here a lot of clients are insured on the defense side, and plaintiffs are on their side have been shutting down and not cooperating with kind of the needs to be done during a lawsuit to find a resolution. They're refusing to sue or to participate in the depositions. And it's been very difficult because of Zoom. Legally, people, I guess, can maybe get in there. So attorneys are kind of shying away from that and trusting to jump on there. And so what is going on as far as being able to counter this and adapt and kind of do some virtual stuff? How are you adapting to? I'm sure you're seeing some of the same things they are.
Yeah, unfortunately, Zoom initially had some breaches in the security where people could get in to do deposition, get into the depositions. It looks like that's been dealt with. I'm not super techie, but it looks like that's been dealt with, so you can go forward. The Florida Supreme Court did pass.
It makes you click an admit button, I know, on there.
Yes,
So,
yes. But the Florida Supreme Court's been good. You don't have to have everyone in the same room. You don't have to have a court reporter even in the room. They can swear people in now over Zoom or other video conferencing type platforms that you used. When I was at my old firm, I would typically do this when I take depositions in New Mexico or Colorado. I didn't fly out there for every case. So I used Skype or Zoom or video conferencing to do depositions. So that's nothing new for me.
Oh, good. So you've been, this isn't like a shift or pivot for you. You've kind of just already been doing this, and it's just kind of taking this platform and using it probably for more things now because you need it, right?
Exactly.
One thing that was asked to me was, so suits involving medical issues. So there's been situations, like I heard of a guy down in Broward who went to the emergency room 3 times to get treatment. They refused the treatment, and he ended up dying at home. So not quite sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I imagine as we deal with the virus going forward, there's going to be a lot of new issues that we're going to have to look at with regards to that and the standard of care, because these are just all new times that nobody's really seen before. All medical malpractice cases are very unique, and any attorney that handles those has to look at them on a case-by-case basis and see, was there truly a breach in the standard of care? And I think ultimately, with regards to the virus, we may not even know what that standard of care is just yet. As for, possibly telling patients to go home, treat at home versus being in the hospital and possibly being exposed to the virus. So I can tell you, I think that's going to be a developing area of the law moving forward, not just here in Florida, but all over the country.
And are you starting to see, not that specific situation, but has the effects of COVID and what's going on caused you to see that there's a lot of people suing for this thing, or a lot of lawsuits coming into your office, or a lot of medical issues happening as far as yet, or not quite yet?
Not yet. Haven't seen a lot of those come in. Obviously, the car accident cases are down significantly. I think the number of car accidents are probably 50% because
but speeding tickets are up. Yeah, but they say speeding tickets are up. That's good. I guess people aren't suing the doctors or the hospitals, but it's got to be something, unfortunately, that is going to happen.
I'm sure we'll see some of that in the future. Yes.
So talk a little bit. I know you do. This is your thing, is personal injury. I've had people ask me to have a personal injury attorney on because there's a lot of concerns as far as like Workman's Comp issues. So let's say my job is not considered essential. They've closed the doors and we're home. I get injured while I'm home, but I'm still considered an employee of them, and I'm working from home for them because I can't work in the office. What goes on there as far as Workman's Comp compensation? Is there a case? How do people that are worried about that, how is that something that can happen?
It certainly is something that can happen. Obviously, I would venture to say that.
Did I ask that the right way? I'm sorry. I kind of was reading it.
I think so.
All right.
So obviously, if someone's on the clock, so to speak, and working, and they're injured, that's why there's workers' compensation in place so that they can get the medical care that they need. It would be on a case-by-case basis, but I mean, that happens now if, an attorney working for me is out driving to go to court and is in an accident. Workers' compensation is something that covers that. So it would be the same respect if you're at home working from your house, working on your computer, being clocked in. Presumably that would be during your course and scope of employment, and so it would be covered by workers' compensation.
So they most likely, if their employer says, sorry, you were at the house, they probably have a valid argument.
They should probably reach out to a lawyer as soon as possible.
Like Nick Norden, a lawyer like Nick Norden at Norden Law.
That's right.
So perfect. So I'm trying to see if there's anything other the questions before we get into other things. So trying to figure out how to adjust during social distancing and working remotely. What I know you have mentioned that you have been doing remote stuff. What would you tell maybe younger attorneys or folks out there in your industry right now that have never had to adjust remotely in your industry? Talk to them.
Well, I guess the biggest advice that I can give you is you just have to learn to get comfortable with it. I know when I first started doing a lot of things remotely, I was worried that the judges wouldn't necessarily understand my arguments, or they wouldn't take me as seriously. But after doing it now for the past 8 years, I've come to find that, you can do everything that you do live. You just have to be a little bit more prepared. So when you have documents that you want to use during your depositions, or even now in mediations, you get those ahead of time to the court reporter. You have them all marked. You have them ready to go so that it's a smooth transition. There's not a lot of downtime, things like that. And then I think the other big thing is you make your clients feel comfortable with doing it remotely by preparing them ahead of time, as opposed to in normal depositions, you're sitting right next to them, almost holding their hand, so to speak. But you can tell them, hey, there's a way that we can go to a private conference and have a private conversation. I'm still going to be there to object for you, protect your interests. But you definitely have to prepare your client and make sure they feel completely comfortable with this new process.
Awesome. So thank you for that. Now, I'm not an attorney, and people that aren't. So how do I know when Norden Law is the attorney that I should call or choose for something that's happened to me? I know car accident compensation, but I'm sure there's a multitude of things that as the public, we have no idea. What do we need a personal injury attorney for?
Well, thank you for that. I guess first off, I consider myself a trusted advisor. And so for past clients, friends, families, future clients, even if it's not personal injury, I'm glad to help. If I don't know, I don't do it personally. I know many law firms that handle other areas that I don't. Many friends, we've talked about the Kendrick Law Group. I'm happy to put them in contact with other people. So I don't say, just call me if there's a personal injury issue. If you have a legal issue, I'm here to help. Specifically with personal injury, if you're in a car accident, if there's a premises liability, slip and fall, negligent security, motorcycle accidents, tractor trailer accidents, dog bite cases. These are all cases that we handle, and everyone's unique. And ultimately, if you're injured and you feel that it was because someone else was negligent, someone else did something wrong, that's when you should call a personal injury attorney, because the biggest benefit that we can give you is we deal with insurance companies every single day. We know that their job, obviously, is to protect the money for their company. And so we believe that the value we're going to give our clients is we're going to help them to obtain maximum justice by obtaining a maximum recovery. Excellent.
Yeah, because I know there's times I text Jess and Sarah, and I'm like, hey, this issue is being brought up. Should I refer to you? Can you help? And they're like, no, I do this, but I got this guy or this girl. So yeah, I think obviously we do know what it takes to get to get an attorney assigned to you at the state attorney's office. We do know, like, we know how to get that happen to us as people in the public, but there's so much niche law out there that I think people just don't realize that just because my dad is a criminal attorney, if I call him and ask him a real estate question, he'll be like, really? Call a real estate attorney, you know what I mean? So yeah, because that's not his specialty. So I think that people need to know that and know what you do and what you offer, and that's awesome because I didn't even realize there was so many things. You know, you think personal injury, you think a car accident, or I slipped and fell at the grocery store. You don't think all of the other items. So I know that. So I'm out there and I'm having an issue, and there's a multitude of personal injury attorneys out there that I can reach out to. Why do I choose Nick Norden and Norden Law?
I guess first and foremost, I think that we certainly bring something unique to a lot of our clients. From day one, you're going to be dealing with an attorney. You're going to call in, you're going to get set up immediately. You're going to speak to an attorney as opposed to an investigator or a case manager to discuss your case, evaluate your case, find out if you have a case. And then throughout the entire process, as we move forward, you will have an attorney that you're able to speak to discuss the case, discuss what's going on, and the best steps to move forward. I've, been doing this for 14 years, and I can say I've litigated cases in multiple jurisdictions. I've tried cases in Florida, Colorado, New Mexico, and so I believe that certainly gives me a unique perspective on the different types of law, the different jury systems that I've seen, and I've seen what works and what doesn't when at trial. So I certainly think that's a good reason to choose Norden Law.
Yeah, and a few things that the public should know too is you've been doing the focusing on personal injury now for what, about 11 years, I think I saw?
Yeah, I've been as soon as, I did the defense side for 5 years, and since then I've been over here doing just personal injury. All I do is represent injured people.
And weren't you battling insurance companies or protecting? Which side were you on with the insurance companies that gives you the knowledge now to help the people? I don't know. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I think that's certainly something that attorneys on my side, when they worked for the defense side, when they actually worked for the insurance companies, defended them, we learned how they evaluate cases, the attacks that they use to try to limit the amount of money that an injured party can recover. And so being on that side, learning that, it's given me the ability to fight that. And certainly one of the things that I think now is very applicable is something called a gap in treatment. That typically is when someone's injured, they seek treatment, and for some reason they go 3 months or 6 months without seeking treatment. As you can imagine, that's going to happen a lot right now with COVID-19 going on. People don't go to a chiropractor or a doctor for something if they can avoid it. They want to stay home, stay safe, and so there are going to be these gaps in treatment. And I obviously think now it will be much better to explain with COVID-19. But that's just something that we routinely deal with, that I learned from the defense side, and now, as a plaintiff's attorney, learn how to take those negatives and make them not as negative, turn them into a positive in some respects.
Yeah, and that's good, and that's why I wanted you to speak about that, because I think it's important. It's kind of like, police officers that retire and then they become attorneys. It's like, man, they lived it, and people need to know that, because now they know how to defend against it or prosecute against it or do whatever they're doing. So to know that Mr. Norden here was on that side, and now he's protecting you or fighting for you against him. I think that says plenty of why you should choose him. And what else? Is there anything else that you want the public to know right now during this COVID-19 pandemic? Are there effects that could happen where they need to look out for that and maybe get you involved in that, or is it just kind of day by day right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a litany of things as we're learning more and more about the virus and how it's affecting everyone, both physically, mentally, economically. So there's certainly a lot of things that could come from that. One of the big things that I think is important is that people understand with car accidents, those can still happen. You know, when you're out going to the grocery store, or if you're still doing, considered an essential worker and working, you can be involved in a car accident. And Florida has a no-fault law that says you must seek treatment within 14 days. Otherwise, you waive your personal injury protection benefits, your PIP benefits. And that's something that we all pay for. We pay a premium for this $10,000 in medical treatment that if we're injured, our insurance company gives us those benefits. And so the big thing is, if you're in a car accident, there's a lot of places now that are practicing telemedicine. And so if you don't think it's serious enough that you need to go to the hospital and expose yourself to the emergency room, but you have some pain, by all means, get that telemedicine appointment or some appointment with the doctor so it's documented and you get those PIP benefits. And obviously, if you have any questions about where to find a doctor or physician that's doing that, reach out to me. I'm happy to give you some names because it's very important you get those benefits and you don't miss out on something you're already paying for.
Yeah, well said. And please, when we get off, please put because I was going through kind of the transition because Zoom was giving issues and I didn't have a lot of time to get all the information into this that I would have, I would have liked to put your website link on the bottom there and all that other stuff. So please make sure that you post that in the comments and everything so that people know how to get in touch with you. And I'm sure as we get to the other side of this, there's going to be a lot of interesting things coming through your office. So maybe we'll jump back on once that starts happening again. And I guess just be safe, you and your attorneys and your families. And hopefully the other side of this opens up soon. I think obviously the new normal is going to be a lot different, I think, when we come out of this.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you. And Dan, thank you so much for having me. You and your family stay safe as well.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on anytime. And if anybody in your office wants to come on anytime, please let me know. If anyone wants to come on, I'm happy to listen. I'm sitting at home, so this is great. keeps me going. So if I can give anybody a voice to talk right now, that's good. And if someone hears something they need, great. Hey, Michelle is already doing it. Norden Law. She's dialed in.
Wonderful.
Good. Yeah, I know that behind every man is a good woman. So
that is the truth.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. You have a good one.
Take care.